Alright guys, so today we are going to take a little journey into headless browsers. So what I've got is I have a situation where I want to browse a website that using a Python script, right? So I'm trying to automate something. And the thing I'm trying to automate is this kind of weird thing. Like, I love my job at Columbia. I very much like working there. There is only one other college in the community college system that I would want to work at, and that happens to be this really tiny little school outside of Bishop, California. So that little school doesn't have jobs very often, so I would like to write a little script just to like check, once a month or something, and email me if there's a full-time opening there. What I did is I was going to write this just as kind of an example of using, just a little Python script to scrape the web. But it turns out that when you go look at this website in particular, so I'm looking at the Cairn Community College District. If I go look at the teaching faculty, like, I can see some stuff's going on here. We're going to have to play with this just a little bit in order to get this thing to work. But the place I want to work is Caracoso, and obviously I can just search math. You can see that I was shopping for a truck. You can see, too, that there's some selects done down in here. And then you can see that there's a couple results. Okay, now, here's the kick. If I full-size this thing and try to inspect it, so I'm going to hit F12 and look through the elements. And I'm really looking for this stuff, right? So it's kind of in this body tag, and it's in that div tag, and it's in this div tag, I guess, and it's in that one. But I just can't actually find this stuff, right? You guys see that? And part of that is that this thing has a whole bunch of JavaScript going on. So this website is actually generated by JavaScript on your on the browser side. So it's passing along a bunch of JavaScript and letting your computer do some of the lifting. That's not necessarily bad, but it does mean that I can't just pull the HTML and like search for these, like Bishop campus part of this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little headless browser because I need something to do that JavaScript parsing for me, basically. Okay, so that's where this kind of mechanical soup thing comes in. So mechanical soup is just a little teensy headless browser. So by headless, I mean it doesn't have a GUI that you can play with. It's fully command line based. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that thing to fetch this web page for me, and then it'll run the JavaScript. And then once it's run the JavaScript, then it'll let me look through the HTML in a kind of a reasonable way. So I've kind of imported mechanical soup. I'm going to take this URL here, and I'm going to go collect that thing. So I happen to have copy and pasted that over here, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm doing a little copy and pasting today. That is hella long. You can see there's all sorts of garbage in there. This thing concerns me for a little bit, this query v0 posted app date. That makes me think this link might be time sensitive. I hope it's not. I am frankly not sure. I think that the ampersands, as far as I understand, divide query terms. But frankly, I'm not a front-end guy, so I don't know. I'm kind of guessing. Might work, might not. If it doesn't work, I'll leave a comment in the YouTube description. But so far, it seems to have been stable for a couple of days. Alright, so that's my URL. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a browser. Okay, so this browser is going to be a mechanical soup browser class object. Right? So this is just an instance of the browser class that's contained in the mechanical soup library. You guys know how imports work. The reason that URL is capitalized here, right, is that it's constant. So this is the URL of the thing we want to go to. We've got this browser. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, so we're going to make the page the browser.get, of course, because what else would it be, right? Like, don't overthink this stuff. And we're going to have the browser get the URL. And then just for kicks, we're going to print out what it gives us. Okay, what do I expect to see here? I don't know. Maybe the guts of a web page. Some HTML code would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. Let's try it. Okay, longest try ever. Come on, let's go. Snap, snap, in a frigging hurry. Okay, well, response 200 wasn't really what I was expecting, but at least it says that it got a hold of the website. That could be worse, actually. It could have given me a 404 or 403 or 405 or 504 or whatever the fuck alphabet soup nonsense. But it gave me a 200. 200 I remember from, like, yesterday or whatever, is the code for got a good response. Okay, so I got a website. I'd really like to be able to look at the friggin' thing. So I'm gonna just try something stupid. So it came out of a mechanical soup kind of idea, and the fact that it's called mechanical soup makes me think that it might have something to do with beautiful soup. So if you go look around for a minute, you figure out pretty fast that this object here, right? So if I look at the get method, come on. Well, it's not going to tell me what it is, but I could figure out what type it is. I could call directory on it. Oh, what the hell? Let's call directory on the page object. Let me slash this guy out for a second. Oops. Typing is hard. Alright. Oh, you can see that? The word soup appears in this friggin' thing. That makes me think it probably is made out of soup. And I know how to work soup because I learned that the other day. So I'm just going to comment that line out. Huh? And I'm going to try this. I'm going to say, all right, it's got a soup attribute. That's probably some kind of a beautiful soup object, right? Okay. So let's see. Printing those was a matter of .prettifying them. Oh, snap. Look at that shit. Alright, that looks good. Let's see. Okay, so in things that I'm looking for here, right? So I'm kind of looking over here, and I'm looking for what I really want is to see this crap about CC Bishop Campus, right? So I'm going to see if I can find that. Let's see. Part-time adjunct pool thing. That feels like it's... Okay, so it feels like I got into a menu again. So let me scroll back through. Oh, there it is. CC Bishop Campus. Okay, so see all this thing? Okay, so div ID has the search results, and then it's got classes that are called... Okay, and all this crap's going to be important here in a minute. So the problem is that my columns have garbage names. You guys all see that? Like, I'm not going to be able to pull off where this friggin' thing is. But I can see that this div class, like, this is one of the postings. You guys see that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right. I remember that I can do some kind of, like, select or find or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to make a list. I think I'm going to make a list. I'm going to try to make a list. So I'm going to say postings is page.soup. right? And then we're going to say, all right, go in and find all. And you'd have to look in the docs to find this thing. It did take, so no lie, it took me a solid minute and like a Stack Exchange lookup to find this. So there's a find all. And the thing I want to find, I happen to have over here. And what I want to find is div tags where the class is this job item, job posting business, right? Job item space job item posting. Okay. Now, it should be known that this is one of the reasons you would very much want to comment Python code. Because that is not super likely to stay exactly the same forever. And I want this script to run for a long time. Because, frankly, these jobs come up never. And I would be real interested in it. So, I just gotta know that this thing's gonna be fairly stable. So, I'm gonna need some hella good comments in this thing. Because stupid old me is gonna go have to fix this thing in a bit. I'm probably gonna want to do something like, I'm not gonna do it tonight, but in my kind of full development of this little script, I probably want to do something like make sure it actually gets some results, test it on something, before it emails me, right? I want to like test it on some garbage, make sure that there's some postings for some job, email me if there's not, just to be like, hey dude, your script's not working anymore, like go fix it. Because, yeah, if they change their website, right, then this crap's going to change. Alright, so, let me just print out the postings. And actually, let me do this in a slightly different way. So I think that this thing's probably some kind of list. So I'm going to do for post in postings. And we're going to do just a quick print. I'd like to print out the post. Right. Okay, so, well, bam. Oops, sorry, gotta clear my terminal. Otherwise we won't be able to see it in amongst all the other garbage we just printed out. Shit. I can't even tell how many of these there are. Oh, and I was also printing the prettified soup version, so let's try that without printing prettified soup. Okay, so now it should just be printing the posts. Okay, so let's see. So there's this one. Oh, and then there's this one. Okay, so it seems like it got both of them. They have a whole bunch of garbage in them. I wonder if we did .prettify to these. This is kind of the Pythonic coding. Like, if you think there might be a method, like, with a name, just try it. Worst case, you get garbage. Oh, look at that. Okay. I don't even know what the hell this thing is. Right? I think posts is a list of some kind. Might be. Might not be. Isn't, I think, if I recall correctly. But I can treat it like a list, and it works like one. This is freaking great. I love Python. It's like pseudocode you can execute. Okay, so... oh, and also you can just guess at shit, and usually it works. So I printed a prettified post. That, frankly, is not quite what I want. So let me do a little testing here. So I'm going to comment that line out, and I'm going to do, instead, I really only give a shit about Bishop. Like Ridgecrest, I'm sure, is a fine town if you're, you know, I don't know anything about Ridgecrest, I shouldn't say shit. But Bishop's an amazing town, so I want to do something like, I want to know if it has Bishop in it, right? So I'm going to do, alright, let's see. So I want the guts of that post, right? So I'm going to do post.text, and I'm just going to call this text. So I'm just making a variable to hold all the posts text. Let me just check and make sure that worked. So my suspicion is that this will strip all those div tags and garbage off of there. Oh, right. Alright, cool. Strip div tags. Good. I didn't want those friggin' things in there anyway. But it does seem to have lots of extraneous white space and whatnot. So, let's do a quick, I'd really like to only print out text if bishop is in there. So, I'm going to use the .count method for a string. And I shouldn't be disingenuous. I did spend a minute looking around again, because, you know, you spend minutes looking around. So I spent 5 or so minutes Googling a way to find out if a substring, like, how do I find out if the word bishop is in this big string? Well, shit. There's a count thing that returns the number of times it appears. I don't really care how many times it appears as long as it's not 0, right? So I'm just going to do if the count of, and really I guess I should be good about this. So I should do if the text's once lowercase count of lowercase bishop, right? So now if this is 0, right, if the word bishop doesn't appear in the text, then this if statement won't run. If it's anything other than 0, this will run. So if they mention bishop in there, right, if it says math instructor, part-time adjunct pool, bishop, and then says later cc-bishop, right, it'll still work, which is really what I want, because I don't want it to kick out if bishop only appears once. I want it to kick out if bishop appears at all, right? Okay, so let's see if this works. This is a little bit different than what I did in my kind of test case, so I'm not completely sure this will work. Basically, I just don't know if I've lowered it correctly. Oh, okay, cool. That looks like it's working. But it's still all formatted all janky. So I'm a little bit curious about what the hey is going on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just split the lines out of this thing. So I spent just a minute fiddling with this in order to get something kind of reasonable. So I'm just going to use the split lines method. So what that's going to do is every time there's a new line, it's going to break it into an element of a list. Okay. So when I hit run here, I should see this whole text thing jumbled out in a list. Oh, well that's why it's all weird, because it just does include a whole bunch of like new lines or empty lines, right? So I'd like to get rid of all that empty line nonsense, because frankly I don't want to friggin' look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for line in text.splitlines, and I'm going to comment this line out. If I wasn't intending to comment that out, I'd probably be better off to store the text.splitlines into a list so I'm not calling that method over and over again. But I'm just going to call it. Okay, so I've got for lines in text.splitlines, I'm going to say if line, and this is cheating a little bit, right? Because if it's empty, it'll come up as false-ish, and so it'll skip it, right? If it's got stuff in it, it'll register as kind of true-ish, right? And then this, and then I'll get into my if statement. And so my if statement is going to include just printing the line, right? You guys all kind of with me on that? So now this should just, oh no, I did comment out the other thing. Oh, that's weird. I still have some kind of funny, like, white spacey stuff going on. Oh, yeah, that's weird. Some of these apparently are lines, but they're filled with white space. I don't know. This is why some of the methods exist in Python. So one thing I could do here is I could maybe do like if line dot. Let's try this. I didn't do it quite this way before, but if line dot strip. Oh, shit, that worked better than what I had. Alright, I'm going with that. The strip method strips off the leading and trailing white space, right? And so if a line is all white space, it'll strip it to nothing, and then it'll read as false. You guys with me on that? Okay. So, the other option that I had was shitty. So I'm not even going to talk about it. How about that? There you go. Alright, so you probably can't even see the little bit of code I've got here. Alright, so far what have we done? We pulled in the browser. We pulled in the library that we're going to use to make a browser. We made a browser object. We went out and got the URL. So that returned a kind of a page. Then we searched through the page for all the divs that had this kind of special class tag. And then we went through all the posts that we found. And then we stripped the text out of the posts. And then we said, if the word bishop appears in the post, right, in the text that's in the post, then for the lines in the text, we'll strip them, and if they pass, if they're still kind of containing stuff, then we'll print them out. Okay. So right now what I've got this doing is printing out this kind of guts of this thing. And there's one thing I'm going to want otherwise in order to kind of send myself this little email. I'm not going to write that emailing part of it right now, but we could. The part I'm going to write right now is I would really like to, out of this thing, I really want to get the link to it so that I can email myself, these are the postings, and here's a link. Because, look, man, if you're writing a script so that you don't have to go look at a website, why wouldn't you just write it so you can just click through, right? It's going to take us 2 minutes. So, I need to go back and look at my prettified code. So I'm going to turn this guy back on for a second, and I'm going to turn my print line back off. And I don't know if that's going to yell at me. Yeah, unexpected end of formula while parsing. It's best because I'm not doing anything. So I'm just going to tell it to pass. Yes, I had always thought the pass keyword was really stupid, but as it turns out, it's kind of handy. Alright. So let me go look for my job title posting. So I remember that they're way the hell down here somewhere. Okay, so this is the wrong one, but okay. So there's this href. Oh, okay. So check this guy out. That's a H3 heading. So that's a like, hey, look at me kind of thing. They do that for screen readers. It's actually a really good idea to do this with your HTML code. If you're not using headers, you're being rude to people who can't see. So don't be like that. You know, put header tags on things. And actually, the fact that it's an accessibility issue makes me think that's likely to persist, even if the other bits of the code stay the same. I expect that that'll still be in an H3 header. Because there's some accessibility stuff that indicates that should be about H3, give or take. Okay, so I'm seeing this link here, and I have this sneaking suspicion that if I click this View Details button, that it goes more or less to that link. So it goes to, oh, well, this is the other one. But it goes to careers.kccd.edu/postings/this thing, right? Okay, so let's freaking use it to our advantage. So what I need to do is I need to get this posting number out of here, right? And it's in an H3 and it's in an anchor, right, a link. So I'm going to do basically the same thing, right? So for posts in the posting, if the text.lower contains bishop, right? So I still want to be inside this if statement. Right, so I want to be at this level, so I'm still inside the if statement. Then I want to do something like headers is take the post and let's see. So I did I think I did a select last time. So I'm going to select all the headers that are level 3. So I'm going to go through and grab all the H3 headers. And now I've got a list of headers. And then I'm going to say something like for heading in headers, we'll say, all right, so I want the links to be, okay, so far I've pulled all the H3 level headings out of the post. There's probably only one. But, like, I don't know. I went and got one. You could do this a little more lazily, right? You could just grab the first one. But I'm not totally sure that they won't change their formatting, so I'm just going to grab all the H3 headers because I'm a bit lazy. I'm going to say, all right, so for links, we're going to go and we're going to say, all right, I want to take my header. Oops, not header. Why did I call this heading? It should be header. Okay, so for a header in my headers, right? So for one of the headings, shit, it's weird. I'm going to say the links are going to be the results of finding all, and we're going to find all of the anchors, right? The links, such that href is true. So href is that it goes somewhere, right? So this is going to be all the links that are actually headed somewhere, right? All the little clickable links, right? Okay, so that's going to get me to a list of links, and then we're going to nest another loop, and we're going to say for link in links, we're going to print out, and the thing we're going to print out is a string that is this string to start with. Plus, and we're going to do link, and I'm going to go get the href part of the link. Right, so this is really just a dictionary lookup, right? So link's some kind of object. It's got an href property, or in this case, the link is apparently dictionary lookable. So I'm going to go look in it like it's a dictionary. It would have been maybe, I wonder if .href would work here. Let me just try this and we'll fill around. Oops, I have a prettify still. Crap. Not bad. Alright, let's try that again. For link in links, unexpected indents. Oh! Yep, that is flat, my bad. And I'm going to go back to printing my stuff here. Let's see what we got. Oh. Okay. Cool. So we went in, we found all the headers that had a link in them, and then it seems like there was only one of it. And there's my, oh, look at that. Ah, cool. Look at that. There we go. Freaking rad, man. Alright, so that is the web scraping portion of this. I'm probably going to spend a minute and comment this out before I put it on the rappel. And then maybe we'll see if we can email some stuff to ourselves. Oh, actually, there was one more thing I wanted to try just for kicks. I just want to check what kind of a thing link is, just for quick. I'm basically just curious. What kind of properties does the link thing have? Oh, it looks like it's a beautiful soup object. And it does not seem to have a href property. So, but it does seem to be dictionaryable. Cool. Alright, so, I wonder if we just tried it. Probably isn't going to work, PS. Can't concatenate none to true. Yeah, okay. So it didn't work. Bummer. Well, we tried. Okay. So, there we go. Like I said, some comments on Repel, then maybe we'll talk the talk of emailing.